love and marriage, love and marriage.
Hello, my name is Robbie. On here I'm Templar Knight. Every person who believes in God but does not attend a church has a story why. But it's said that whenever two or more people gather in God's name, that He is there. So this is church. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Tonight we move on to Lesson 2 of our series Bliss After the Bells. Last week we talked about love and the different forms of love and how important it is to have God as a part of your marriage. Tonight we're going to move on to one of the more uncomfortable ones. We are talking about honor and respect. Two words that are very similar but different enough to be talked about and where they fall into play in your marriage. And if anyone is offended by anything said here tonight, I apologize. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. I came here to do this series to talk about a biblical representation of what marriage is meant to be. And I hope you can understand it for what it is. So, we're going to talk about having honor and respect in the marriage, which is very important. Now, if we were to talk about the words themselves, just so we have a little bit of understanding what they mean, honor is like the highest form of respect. It is a great esteem for something. Before we started the lesson, I was talking about how honored I am to be a part of this community and to know you people, because it brings me such fulfillment to see the impact in our lives, to see the impact I'm making on yours and the impact you guys are making on mine. That's honor. It's a regard for something. The other word we're working on is respect, which, according to the dictionary, is a deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Now, respect is something that, I get respect. I have a good understanding of respect. When I'm at work, when I see someone who does some good, high-quality work that I can be proud of, I can respect them for what they do. I have a friend who can do a backflip. I can respect his acrobatic abilities. I know people who can do amazing things on the computer. I can respect them for that. I can hold them with an esteem, a value for what they are capable of. So I wanted to explain these words so that when we talk about respect and honor in a marriage, we're all on the same page. Now I'm going to start going straight into the Bible because I want to say the difficult stuff for last. So when we're talking about respect and honor, I chose to read from 1 Peter, chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. And I take this out of the Message because, again, the Message breaks it down into a more speakable language. So the verse goes as follows. The same goes for you wives. Be good wives to your husbands, responsive to their needs. There are husbands who, indifferent as they are to any words about God, will be captivated by your life of holy beauty. What matters not your outer appearance, the styling of your hair, the jewelry you wear, the cut of your clothes, but your inner disposition. Cultivate inner beauty, the gentle kind that God delights in. The holy women of old were beautiful before God that way, and they were good, loyal wives to their husbands. Sarah, for instance, taking care of Abraham, would address him as my dear husband. You'll be true daughters of Sarah if you do the same, unanxious and unintimidated. The same goes for you husbands. Be good husbands to your wives. Honor them. Delight in them. As women, they lack some of your advantages. But in the new life of God's grace, you're equals. Treat your wives then as equals, so your prayers don't run aground. Sorry. So what does that mean? I love the description of focusing on an inner beauty. Because, okay, as guys, we are hardwired in our brains to be attracted to physical beauty. But when you find that woman you want to marry, it's not about how gorgeous she is. It's about who she is inside. And if she has that inner beauty, it will far surpass anything she can wear, any jewelry, the way she does her hair. It'll surpass all of that. So focus on being beautiful inside. And I like the part it talks about with husbands, telling us to honor our wives and delight in them. That's a pretty solid phrase there, to take honor in them, to show her that highest esteem, that great respect for who she is. Take joy in her inner beauty. So how do we do this? I'm going to tackle a few small examples for both groups, husbands and wives. Things I've learned, things that I spent entirely too many hours reading about, and I'm going to push some buttons. So, this is for the husbands. We live in a day and age where our wives want to be strong, independent women, but they're not. That's not what they were designed to be. They married us, which means they have agreed to set aside that independence. Now, they may want to be independent. They want to show they can do stuff and love and support them in that. But it's not about that freedom anymore. I think the roughest one that I had to learn, because as a guy, I'm a fixer. That's what I do. And I had to learn that it is not my place to fix everything. Now, I'm sure we've all been in this position where wife's come home, we've come home from work, and you're sitting around having a conversation, and she's upset about something. And she starts talking about it. Now, instead of listening, we are searching for a solution. What can I do to fix this? Stop it. Shut up and listen. She doesn't want your solution. A lot of times, she just needs to vent. And although there's a dilemma, she doesn't need your fixing. She's drawing a line in the sand to see whose side we're on. She's saying, hey, I'm struggling with this. Are you with me or are you against me? Yeah, I'm with you. You show support. You take an active interest in what she's doing. And the most important phrase that I have learned, and my wife is going to give me crap about talking about this, guys, I need you to say this with me. Is there anything I can do to help? Is there anything I can do to help? Now, that's not me stepping in and taking over her situation. That's not me being, oh, I am a man, I must fix all, and taking charge and trying to find the resolution that I think is best. She doesn't want that. She's a strong, independent woman. she can fix her own problems. So with that simple question, I'm not taking over the problem. I'm empowering her and putting myself at her disposal. It's a smart phrase. Write that one down. Is there anything I can do to help? No, I'm not going to go into examples. I'm not going to go into examples. But does that make sense to you guys? I know we are wired to fix all the problems. She doesn't need that. She needs us to respect her and her ability to fix things. We just need to give her the option to call in the big guns if she needs them. Along that same lines, this one is for the wives. When your husband comes to you and he asks, "Is there anything I can do to help?" give him an honest answer. Don't play mind games with us. Because if you say no, we're going to be like, okay, cool. And we're going to go back to playing video games or whatever it is we were doing before. And you're going to be sitting there stewing and flustered because we didn't realize you actually wanted our help. See, men, we're kind of like puppies. Now, hear me out on this. Have you ever talked to a dog before? Have you ever talked to a good boy? And have you talked to the bad boy? The dog when he'd being naughty? There's a different tonation in your voice. We respond to that. I'm sorry, but we do. If we ask a question and you answer it in a hostile way, we're not going to hear the words that were said. We're going to hear the tone at which it was said. And we're going to be, and we're going to back off, and we're going to go and hide. Hey, can I help you with the groceries? No, it's fine. I got it. Okay, sorry. And we're going to back away. Can I help you with the groceries? Yeah, sure. Go ahead and grab a bag. I got this. Big man. I can lift all the groceries in one trip. Because that's what men do. And just like these puppies, you need to do a little bit of training with us so that we know how to respond to you. Because if we go and ask a stupid question, I do this with my coworkers. I train them how to respond. If you ask me a stupid question, I'm not going to belittle you or insult you or break you down or speak hurtfully towards you. Because I want you to feel comfortable talking to me. If I ask, hey, is there anything I can do to help? Or do you need me to do the laundry? Or is this shirt go on this hanger? And I get a harsh response, I'm going to learn two things. One, that shirt does not belong on that type of hanger. And two, don't ask about hanging up shirts. We're puppies. Scratch behind the ear. Oh, we love it. Every guy loves getting his back scratched. I don't care. But you have to train us on how to behave with you. I've been married 18 years, and I'm still trying to figure this out. My wife is still training me on how to do things. One thing I learned, one of the first lessons she taught me. I'm going to tell this story. The first lesson she taught me was when to knock it off. We were newlyweds. Just got married, moved across the state to go to college, and we're doing dishes. Did not have a dishwasher. I'm washing the dishes. She's drying them, or rinsing them and setting them on the drying rack. So I've got this sink full of soapy water. And I don't know why, but we had a funnel that needed to be washed. Well, I know that if you take a funnel and put it with the funnel side up and smack it down into a water full of soap suds, the soap suds go... It's funny. I find it amusing. So I took the soap in the funnel and I went poof, and the suds went poof, and we both laughed. And then I took the funnel and I pointed it at her a little bit and I did it again. And I shot some suds over towards her and she's like, hey, stop it. Now I should have learned there. I did not. I stared at her, deadpan in the eyes, took that funnel, and I slammed it down in the sink so hard the water splashed over the sink, went all over the floor, suds shot up through the funnel, blasted all over the ceiling, and I just stared at her smiling. She says, all right, fine, takes the drying towel, tosses it on the drying rack, and walks away. That's not how that joke is supposed to go. So I'm still doing the dishes. She's not here anymore. The sink fills up with dishes that need to be rinsed and put in the drying rack. So I have to move over and put the dishes and rinse them and put them in the drying rack and then go back to washing. And I'm looking and she's not coming back. I have been doing the dishes for the last 18 years. Sucks. You need to train us how to behave good around you. Fair enough? Men think with boxes mentality. We've all got a box thought process. If we're doing something, we pull that box out of our brain, open it up, gather the thoughts we need to do that. And then we pack it back up and put it away. We move on. Men think that way. We are very compartmentalized. Women are like spider webs. You say one thing wrong. It might not even be the wrong thing. Let's just say you walk in, hey, I saw a red car today. You know, this lady at work, and you will completely set her off because you said something about a red car that reminded her of this day 3 weeks ago, and on that day this happened, and all of a sudden this happened. You're reminded. Oh my God. Don't plink the spider web. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. I'm completely off my notes. Let me get back to this. Close that box, put it to the side, open up the box for Bible study, carry on. So, I hope these 2 points have made sense. Men, ask your wives, is there anything I can do to help? Wives, answer us truthfully. Don't play games. We're not going to pick up on it. Fair enough? So now here is some of the more harder hitting stuff. As a couple, what do we have to do to honor and respect each other? Now I have a very simple solution. You want to know how to honor your wife when she's not around? You want to know how to honor your husband when he's at work or not around? Before doing something, before saying something, ask yourself, would I say this, would I do this if my spouse was here? That's showing them the respect they deserve. Prime example, I'm a construction worker. Construction workers are known to have some very bad habits. Some of the guys I work with are very stereotypical construction workers. But here's the thing, they're not around me. They don't come to work and talk trash about their wives with me because they know I won't allow it. I don't tolerate that kind of behavior. In the same token, I won't talk negatively about my wife to anyone. I won't say comments, oh man, my wife, she was just being such a pain in the butt last night. Gosh, she just wouldn't back up. I don't do that because that is not giving her the respect she deserves. That is not honoring my wife. Not telling that story. There are things we will do when our spouses are not home. Would we still do that if our spouse was there? When we're with friends, would we act the same way? Say you got a girls' night out or a guys' night at the bar and you're out hanging out. Are you going to behave the same way if you knew your wife was there, if you knew your husband was there? Because you should. You're married. You shouldn't be checking out that other person across the way, no matter how attractive they are. You shouldn't be saying things that dishonor your wife, dishonor your husband, dishonor your relationship. As we talked about last week, there are 3 people in your marriage. There's the husband, there's the wife, and there's God. Now, just because one or the other isn't there, doesn't mean God isn't. He is always there. How do you think God's going to take that? Because although your spouse may not always be there, God is. God's always watching, and He is seeing the way you behave, the respect and honor you show your spouse when they're not around. A prime example of why I do not tolerate people talking negatively about their spouses. A dear friend of mine that I grew up with used to come over every week and we'd have game night. We'd go down in the man cave, we'd sit around the 4x8 table and we'd play games. And he was seeing this girl, long-term relationship, 5 years or so. And she was chaotic. I never met her. In those 5 years, I never met my best friend's girlfriend. But I had an opinion of her. And one day we were all sitting around talking. And he made some joke. And I made a joke too about her. And it was derogatory. It wasn't the politest thing to say. But I said a negative comment about his girlfriend. And he looks at me. And he goes, "Dude, what's your problem? You don't even know her." And I looked right back at him like, "You're right. I don't know her. The only thing I know about her is what you have told me. You formed my opinion of her. And if that's how I feel about her, what does that say about how you feel about her?" Because he was coming over to guys' night, hanging out playing games. And he was talking smack about his girl. Kind of opened his eyes a bit. Opened my eyes about tolerating such behavior. So that's why I've got my rule. Do not talk badly about your spouse. If you guys have an issue that needs to be addressed, if there's something you want to talk about, you can do it in a constructive way. But don't just break them down. Work towards a resolution if you've got something that you need to resolve. But don't belittle them. You know, we were talking about 3 people in your marriage. You, your spouse, and God. I'm going to go straight from the Bible with this. I'm not quoting it, but if you want actual verses to say, yes, this is in the Bible, hit me up. I can certainly get them to you. But we need to talk about the house and why respect and marriage matters. Husbands are the head of the house. The wives are supposed to submit. Now, before you, all the guys where I could see you 2 idiots over there high five, yeah, we win. No, it's not like that. The men are the head of the household. The husbands are in charge. But the wives are the most important thing you have. They are to be cherished and treasured. That is a biblical marriage. And I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but that might be why modern day marriages are falling apart. Because we've forgotten to honor and respect each other. We live in a day and age where every woman is supposed to be strong and independent. I don't need no man. But you do. If we go through the official order, I found, actually almost brought up a picture of it, because when I Googled this, they showed umbrellas was the icon. And there were tons of them. Google the official order of the family. According to the Bible, you'll find these pictures. But the very first, the top highest umbrella is God. He is the one who shields the family, who blocks almost all the rain. Under God is the husband. His duty is to spiritually lead the family, to provide for the family, and most importantly, to love his wife as Christ loves the church. Now you remember we talked about love last week. God doesn't deal in just love. He deals in that word. Anyone remember? Agape. It is the highest form of love. Something that only he can do. And we're supposed to strive like that in how we love our wives. Underneath the husband comes the wife. Her duty is to help her husband to raise godly children and to submit to her husband's authority. How do you help us? Support us. Build your husbands up. Help him be that strong pillar so that he can lead the family, so that he can provide the spiritual guidance. In a lot of marriages, wives are so focused on having their equal share of the power, being in charge, that they will break their husbands down to build themselves up. Marriages like that don't last. That's not how a marriage was designed to be. Better yet, build your husband up. Let him be that strong tower. Let him support you. Let him take care of you. Let him guide you. That is his biblical responsibility. That is what God asks us to do. And when that is taken from us, we stumble. And husbands, our wives are our sacred duty. The most important thing we can do in life is protect that woman who stood before God and promised her life to us. We can respect, honor, and cherish her. See, I'm not saying that this is like some women are slaves or anything like that. That's not what it's about. Because if the wife is playing her role properly and the husband is playing his role properly, you will flourish. You will see a growth in God's love that will be astounding. I will admit, I have failed at this from time to time. I will admit that my wife has also failed at this from time to time. We have a good marriage. But even we struggle with what a normal modern day marriage is. I'm going to conclude tonight's message with another interaction, time I hung out with my buddy Jay. When my boy Jesus, he and I met up. I was working at church camp. And I was walking down a stone path leading from the campfires. And Jesus walks up and he's like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I was like, "Man, nothing, Jay. How you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, I got you something." And Jesus bends down and he picks up a rock. And he gives me this rock. And he says, "Here, this is for you. Take care of it until I come back for it, okay?" "Yeah, I got this. I'll take care of this rock for you, Jesus. I got you." Years passed. I took care of that rock. Now, mind you, there were plenty of other rocks all over the place. Fancy rocks, dull rocks, big, small, shiny. There were tons of rocks all over the place. But Jesus gave me this rock. And so I took care of it. Not because I like rocks. I don't get me wrong, it was a cool rock. I really liked it. But Jesus asked me to. Well, 4 years later, I went back to the Lord with that rock. And I said, "Hey, I've taken really good care of this rock. Can I have it? I promise I'll take care of it. I promise I will love and cherish it. Not because it's a good rock, but because you gave it to me. And so I promise you, my Lord, that I will show her the love and respect that she deserves." And so I try to. Until the Lord decides He wants her back. She's my responsibility. I'm in charge of her. I am responsible for her. It is my duty as a husband to care for, protect, and provide for her, to give her the kind of life she deserves. Not because I promised her that. Because I promised God. Because I promised my Lord, my Savior. That is what a biblical marriage is about. Not about just the relationship between the two of you, but your relationship with the Lord.
Love and marriage, love and marriage.